Okay, Senator Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Administrator, thank you for being here today and taking time before the subcommittee. Alabama farmers are greatly concerned with the EPA's recent Endangered Species Act pesticide proposal, like the herbicide strategy. These proposals could impose hundreds of millions of dollars in new restrictions on farmers who need these tools to protect crops and maintain conservation practices like reduced tillage and cover crops. Some farmers are finding that they may lack options to comply with the EPA proposal, which means that they have to entirely stop using tools that are vital to their farms. And I hope that you and I both share the thought that food security is national security, and making sure that we continue to support our farmers and continue to support the job they do, knowing that they protect their land. The fruitfulness of it is what allows them to continue to do their job and support the work they do, not only for their community, but truly for the entire nation. In that vein, bipartisan instructions were provided to EPA in the final fiscal year 2024 Interior Appropriations Report to ensure the use of, quote, best scientific and commercial data available, end quote, to assess species risk as the law requires. These instructions include using real-world data on pesticide usage, existing conservation practices farmers are using to protect wildlife, real-world data on spray drift and water concentrations to supplemental models, among other sources. My question for you, Mr. Administrator, is how does the EPA plan on implementing Congress's bipartisan instructions?
Well, thank you for that, and we do share that goal, and I can say that I agree that no farmer should wake up in the middle of a growing season and have to face some of the decisions that they're having to face.
Thank you.
I think previous decisions that span decades and court rulings have put us all in a precarious position. I do feel really good that we are speaking with our farming community, our agriculture community, on how we approach the Pesticides and Endangered Species Act. And we've come up with some strategies that, quite frankly, a number of farm groups have spoken very positively about.
Okay.
The American Soybean Association and the Ag Retailers Association. So I think we're digging our way out of this hole. Mm-hmm. We're having a lot of conversations using similar conversations around using the same science so that we can achieve some of these goals that will provide certainty for our agriculture.
So one of the two things I've heard, and so these are my concerns, is that we're not using kind of the directive that was in the bipartisan report language. And so it's been brought to my attention that in some ways the EPA seems to be intentionally using conservation models that are designed to overestimate risk, and which is explicitly not, the best scientific and commercial data available. And so that type of risk assessment is something that I'm worried about, because I believe it'll necessitate farmers adapting additional restrictions and, to just mitigate what may be a phantom risk. And so I just want to make sure, if that comes across, if you will make sure to just kind of drill down and ensure that's not happening, because I just want to caution EPA. After last year, we saw the D.C. Circuit Court rule against the National Marine Fisheries Services for taking that similar approach of overstating risks to different species. And so I strongly advise EPA to implement the bipartisan data instructions as Congress has directed. And the other feedback that I have gotten is that there may be a potential of you having some type of significant volume of things and maybe not having staffing in order to be able to implement this. And so my question on that front is, would the EPA consider appointing designated non-federal representatives to help you meet the ESA responsibilities and Congress's bipartisan data instructions?
I think you will see in the budget, we attempted to be responsible.
Good.
And provide a request for the necessary bodies to do so. That particular office, or the office that we're talking about, is down to levels that early 2000s and more. So I think what there is a common agreement is that we need more staff and more resources to keep pace with what the courts are pushing our way. And I'm not certain that we are comfortable with the over-reliance of a federal responsibility to volunteers or folks who have expertise that are not contractually acquired. So we would really need to talk through.
Yeah, would you mind, I know I'm about out of time, would you commit that our staffs could get together and actually talk about this? Because I don't think the EPA needs to do this alone. You know, if you look at the Endangered Species Act, it actually allows the agency to designate non-federal representatives to help do this work. And so would you commit to me that we can sit down and have that conversation and see if there is a path forward?
I would, and I'd love
you.
for us to prioritize doing it in a way that we haven't done in the past. The court decisions and the use of that program contributes to why we are here today.
Well, let's work together and see if we can find a path forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.